Welcome to the Stevia Show. It's the Stevia Show. Helping you expand on what you know. Throw in a meme of the week and a review of the screen. And you have a show that covers everything.
Hey, Team Stevia. Welcome to episode 70 of The Stevia Show.
A talk show podcast that covers pop culture, world news, local artistry, and everything in between.
As always, this is Steven.
And this is Lydia.
And we hope everybody's having a great day. We hope you enjoyed episode 69.
Nice.
I thought it was very nice. So we were glad to have you all with us. And today is going to be it's just like a steak. It's going to be thick and juicy.
Thick and juicy.
But without any A1 sauce.
And medium.
Oh, and medium. Okay. I can settle for medium. I mean, I prefer medium.
What do you do? Medium rare?
I do medium rare. I used to do rare, but then I actually had a bad experience at Disney World, which we can talk about later with the rare steak. It was disgusting.
Oh, okay.
But that was
basically
something.
It was from cow to you.
Barely. Yes. So we hope everybody enjoyed episode 70. And so for the meme of the week, this week, we actually have Dalton is the current, no, it's not Dalton. Excuse me. It's Matt. Matt is the current edgelord. Dalton was the one last week.
Yes.
So we in our Discord, which again, if you're not in the Discord, you're missing quite a bit of stuff. So we have.
This week we had Cord Court.
We had Cord Court last week too. We had two Cord Courts.
We did have two Cord Courts.
But this one has to do with a innocent verdict that came across from a Matt accusation.
Yes.
And next week. We'll talk about it next week, but basically justice prevailed this past week.
It did prevail.
It did prevail. So with our Discord, we have a constitution. So we have a whole ass constitution.
A whole ass constitution.
And
it is awesome. Actually, I thought about this. There's something we need to add on the constitution.
A tie-breaking scenario.
Yes.
Okay.
But also, good call. But also, we need to add in there what to do when someone is found guilty. If we take votes, what are the?
Oh no, that's in there. Guilty verdicts get a vote. So,
I didn't.
So the presiding judge picks 3 punishments or how many punishments that are not cruel and unusual.
But do we ask the Discord for?
No, they just vote on the punishment.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a measure in place for that, but not for tiebreakers.
I did not see that. So okay. That was my bad.
No worries. But so what happened this past week is in the Discord we have 2 members that were in a really gruesome legal battle. It was Matt. It was Matt versus Haley, and in our memes channel, Haley used a swear word. I forgot what it was. I think it was the F word.
She said the F word.
Right, and then so Matt called her to Discord court, and it was basically a whole battle of semantics. Like, was she right for using it? Was she wrong? And it was a 5-2 win for Haley.
I will say though, she did use the F word. The reason was because she used the F word not in the not safe for work channel.
Right, but we always, but I mean,
no, not we. Don't say we.
Okay, well, I'm saying we on the podcast, we allow people one F-bomb. That's what I was going to say. Because
we are PG-13 as a podcast. But
not as a Discord.
But as a Discord, I don't think that every channel is PG-13.
Which that was the main dichotomy of the argument, is that was it really that bad or not? It was all basically a battle of what you view as right and wrong.
I voted guilty.
I voted innocent, but that's...
You can't vote.
Oh, I didn't. Sorry, I thought she was innocent. I didn't vote. I didn't. I promise.
Do I need to put you in the court?
No, I promise. I promise that I voted innocent.
Okay.
But I didn't vote. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I promise that I didn't vote. I didn't vote.
Twice.
I didn't vote. I promise. I said I would have voted.
I'm about to throw you in court.
Don't throw me in
right now.
court because I didn't vote.
Czars versus czars.
No, because I would have voted for innocent, but I didn't because I was presiding.
Okay.
But
we'll see.
Okay, well, whatever. Anyway, so what happened is Haley was proven innocent, and then for the meme on Friday, we have OC Fridays, which is where you make your own memes, and then Daniel Basin judges them.
OC means original content.
Yes, thank you very much. And so what happened is you have the image of Nancy Pelosi ripping up the State of the Union address, and for Matt, his username is Teddy Flood 69420, and then he changed it to Nancy Flood 69420, and he was ripping up the innocent verdict. So that was pretty funny. It was pretty good. So it was a well-fought legal battle.
Good job, Matt.
Yeah, good job, Matt, and good job, Haley, for... That was actually the first innocent ruling in the court.
It was our first innocent ruling.
And so far,
ruling.
the only one,
the
too.
Only.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that more next week. So, Lydia, what kind of media do we have going on this week?
Well, I unfortunately did not get to see a movie this week. We kind of had some kinks thrown in because of... I was actually supposed to be gone today. We're recording on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I was supposed to be in College Station, but then they they canceled all the kid pickleball tournaments. Don't tell Matt. Well, don't talk to Matt about it. He knows. He knows. Just don't talk to him about it because he's very salty. But so I didn't go see any movies, but the new Call of Duty Warzone came out and it is A1 amazing. It's a battle royale from Call of Duty. 150 players go at it with each other. Right now they have groups of 3, but they're saying that there'll be solo and duo as options too. But Logan and I have been playing. It's been pretty fun.
Now, 150, that's more than like Fortnite and PUBG. That's at 99 or 100, right?
Right, correct.
Okay,
100.
Is Apex 100 too?
Yep.
Okay, so COD upped it to 150.
Upped it to 150.
Okay, are the maps bigger?
Huge. The map is huge.
Cool, right on.
It's so much fun. It runs so smoothly. Oh, it's a blast. And it's free to play.
Oh, right
on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, all the things. So I didn't go see a movie, but I do have an update. So, like I said, the pickleball tournament was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, everything has been canceled because of the coronavirus.
Which we'll be talking about.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. But I wanted to tell you all the things that as of today, March 15th, these are the movies and TV shows that are halting production or moving release dates. So live action Mulan was postponed from the end of March opening to sometime later this year. And I already had pre-tickets, so they when I found out about this is because Regal emailed me, oh hey, sorry, here's your money back for your ticket that you already bought. Sorry.
Well, at least they refunded you.
Yeah, it was really nice. It's a Quiet Place Part 2 has moved its release date from March 18th to another time not yet specified by John Krasinski. James Bond moved from a March opening to a November opening. They said this was due to heavy screenings of it in Europe, which makes sense because James Bond. And then according to Variety, here are some other TV shows and movies that have been postponed. So TV shows, we've got The Morning Show, Riverdale, Survivor, Amazing Race. And then for movies, the Untitled Elvis Project, which is the movie Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson were actually a part of, and they also have the coronavirus. Mission Impossible 7 and Official Competition. So
everything's postponed. Everything's canceled.
Yep.
So Cliff Diver, one of our favorite local bands, actually posted a meme on Twitter, and they said, "Has cancel culture gone too far?" Because literally everything is canceled.
Everything is canceled.
So I mean, that's hilarious.
Except for this podcast.
This content ain't going to create itself.
It's not going to create itself.
But for the love of God, do not go do this, or don't go watch this or listen to this in a crowded area. Stay at home. And put on your headphones and just enjoy.
Speaking of staying at home and listening and watching us, do we want to head into our main segment, Steven?
Well, that's literally the next part. So very good segue.
Let's do it.
You call us mall cops because we just segued into it.
We just segued into it. Hey.
Sorry, I had to do that. Okay. So so as we've been hinting at for the past few episodes that we are we were going to do something big, and so here is the big announcement. Here at episode 70, we are officially finally launching on YouTube. This has been something that we've been wanting to do for a while, but we really haven't had the means. But now that we have a amazing network of supporters through Anchor, we've been able to purchase lights, these amazing RGB lights. So we cannot thank you all enough for making this possible.
Yeah, you guys like this purple behind us? Isn't that cool?
It looks very good. And shout out to my wife.
If you're listening to us via podcast, you can go to the YouTube later and see
the lights. Yeah.
See me looking like a goofball.
No, you look like a Vanna White from Wheel of Fortune.
Hello.
Yeah, and then Abby did the amazing logo, which we are rebranding too.
Yes,
so
we are.
We forgot to even mention that, but I'm glad we pointed that out. So while our old logo, the lightning bolt, was by far a classic, it served us very well for almost 2 years. We did come to the conclusion that it just said Stevia on it, which, I mean, Stevia is cool. That's Lydia and I. That's
us.
Yeah, that's us. That's like, Brangelina minus the divorce because we're not married. So, so we don't have to worry about that. Nope. It's great. So we decided to switch to this logo because, one, it looks amazing, and two, because it actually says The Stevia Show. So it says exactly what we are, and we do have the lightning bolts in there for the throwback as well. So we are keeping the lightning bolt. That's for sure our, I guess, our unofficial logo or mascot or whatever you want to call it. But so while we are launching on YouTube, you can search for us for The Stevia show, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, all that's fun stuff. But there's no reason to worry if you are a loyal podcast listener. The podcast will always remain our main focus, and the episode will be the exact same on both platforms.
Yep.
So you're not missing anything from one platform or another. So if you're listening or watching on YouTube, and then if you want to go listen to the podcast,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, but if you want to listen to it twice, go ahead. Like,
Yeah, please. That's
by all
great.
means. But it's the exact same thing. So you're getting the exact same content both ways. So that way our podcast listeners don't have to worry about, like watching us twice or listening to us twice, and then YouTube people don't have to do it vice versa. Just making it more accessible so people can watch it whatever they want. So cool. So we're excited to be on YouTube, and we're excited to keep on growing the show. And last week we did talk about Harvey Weinstein and how he was convicted. So Lydia, what's the verdict on that?
Weinstein was actually sentenced to 23 years in prison.
Yes.
PBS NewsHour reported on March 11th that Harvey Weinstein has been sentenced to 23 out of a possible 29 years in prison. He was convicted of raping a woman in 2013 and sexually assaulting another in 2006. On Twitter, some think that he has received justice, while others think that wasn't enough, with only 23 years trending on March 11th. My opinion is that 23 years, I mean, for me, I feel like it should be 100 years, but in 23 years, he's going to die in prison. You know what?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I'm just like, meh.
I think it's definitely a start. I mean, ideologically, however you want to pronounce that, I do not think that's enough. But the fact that we see a lot of these rich white men get totally
the swimmer, that still pisses me off about
Brock
this.
Turner,
yes.
yeah, forget him.
Yeah, F him, dude.
F him, yeah. But how these people oftentimes do not get punishment for their actions, I think this is a huge step forward, especially with Weinstein having the financial assets and the power in Hollywood that he has. So, of course, I don't think for crimes this heinous, I don't think that 23 years is enough. It should be 100 years or life without parole, whatever. But the fact that he didn't just get house arrest or, whatever.
Yeah, he didn't buy his way out. I'm like thankful that it's 23 years. It could have been way less than that.
I think just to kind of boil down my opinion is I think this is a start. I think this is a good start towards other men or women whoever have been sexually assaulting people who might have positions of power where you're like from Harvey Weinstein, like it's not going to happen anymore. Like
he's going to be in jail.
He's going to be in jail,
and then he's going to die. Because he's like what?
He's
70s, 80s.
I don't think he might not be that old. So
He looks pretty old.
He does look pretty old. Let me look really quick.
Okay.
So while we talk about that, we do of course have the coronavirus going on.
Yes, we do.
And that is the thing. So Lydia, while I look up,
can we just talk about how we started the coronavirus updates like
before it was
before
CNN and
before this before it was this
exactly.
So if you listen to the news, you know that the corona.
I have it.
You have it.
Harvey Weinstein is 67.
67.
So if he serves all 23 years, he'll be 90 years old. So he'll probably die. Well, Jim Inhofe's 85 and he's still running for Senate.
Yeah, but I feel like in prison, it's a little bit different.
The living
so I don't know
conditions
if he's going to survive.
The living conditions are much worse.
He might not survive.
Sorry. So back to coronavirus.
So we wanted to say that before we begin this section on coronavirus, it is a very large section. Everything listed is accurate as of March 15th, and this is a current global event that will be changing rapidly. So this podcast airs on March 16th, and so from right now, me and you, to March 16th, we don't know what's going to happen.
Literally happens overnight by the hour, as a matter of fact. Like there's some stories in here where we were writing it as the actual articles were being updated.
Yeah. Because I would send it to Steven and he would click it and he's like, Lydia, this is, and I'm like, no, just wait for it to refresh.
And then literally I click refresh and then boom.
And then there it was. It was updated.
It's crazy.
It was, yeah.
So I guess we could just kind of popcorn this.
Let's popcorn it.
So to kind of kick things off, the World Health Organization, or the WHO, as we will probably be abbreviating it later on.
The WHO,
which is
not the band,
fantastic band, but not the band. So the World Health Organization officially declared the virus a global pandemic on March the 11th, and this is the first global pandemic since the 2009 H1N1 swine flu.
President Donald Trump addressed the nation on the 11th, reassuring Americans that through working together, the virus can be beaten. Trump is also implementing a 30-day travel suspension for foreign nationals, which is a person who is not naturalized citizen of the country in which they are living in the Schengen zone in Europe. I think I said that wrong, but how do you say it?
It's close. It's I think
Schengen?
I think it's Schengen zone.
Schengen
I think
zone.
is what it is, but
Oof.
close enough. Yeah.
It's a network of countries in Europe that can travel freely from one to another, but much like we can travel from state to state with no hassle. President Trump has also said that it doesn't apply to cargo. Also, he did. Do we have this on here for later for what he did on Friday?
What did he do on Friday?
So he had another meeting on Friday, which was March 13th. And he had another press conference announcing that all interest fees for student loans
have been waived.
For the time being. And he added Ireland and the UK to the restricted Europe.
Because initially it wasn't, because they're no longer part of the EU, but now that it's spreading.
Yeah, it is spreading. Correct.
It is indeed spreading. So now that it has spread to the point where it is, that they have also included the UK and Ireland.
Yep.
So basically, coronavirus is shutting down everything. And while, like, yes, it does suck, and there's a lot of, like, really, really crappy things that have been canceled, like things that, you know, a lot of us have been looking forward to, it is the right move to make, because you want to obviously contain it, which is what we're going to be talking about later, with two countries that have done a spectacular job despite being close to where the virus originated. So yesterday,
we want to deflate the curve is what they're trying to do.
Deflate the curve.
They're trying
100%.
to deflate the curve. So we just got to remember that.
Right. So yesterday's Democratic debate, which is the first one-on-one debate with Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, took place without a live audience. So this episode is actually being recorded midday on Sunday, so we don't know, like, how the debate actually went, but we can tell you that it was not in front of a live audience. And honestly, I kind of think that's for the better, because that way it's not stocked with all these rich donors who are, because I think those debate tickets cost like thousands of dollars.
Oh, for
and
sure.
It's all the rich and wealthy people, and I think, you know, just like, again, politics should
It's
be
just going to be them two debating, and I'm kind of excited.
I'm very pumped.
We can definitely update them in our Facebook.
Yeah, or our Twitter.
When we post the show, we can just update them with that.
Yeah, 100%. That's a good idea. And then over in gaming, what do we have going on there? This is a big one.
This is huge.
Big F in the chat.
Yeah, big F in the chat. Gaming's largest expo, E3, has been canceled for 2020, reported by Kotaku on March 11th. With the new PlayStation and Xbox consoles being slated for this release this holiday season, people are speculating what major game developers and publishers will do with the announcements they are likely sitting on. The Entertainment Software Association, ESA, which organizes E3, wrote in a statement on March 11th that we are also exploring options with our members to coordinate an online experience to showcase industry announcements and news in June 2020. Updates will be shared on e3expo.com. So I imagine what they're going to be doing is kind of like what Nintendo does. They do their live, it's like an hour long.
Directs, Nintendo Directs.
Nintendo Directs. Yeah. So they do those quarterly, I think.
Usually quarterly, unless there's a big game coming up.
And then they do
Animal
it.
Crossing is releasing this Friday the 20th, and they've done a few more
Extras.
ahead of the schedules because it's a big release. Same thing they did with Smash Brothers.
Yeah, Smash Brothers, and they did that for Pokemon too.
Of course.
So they'll probably just do more of an online where, you know, they go live on all platforms, mainly YouTube probably, and do a big release there.
And I'm honestly kind of surprised that they don't already do this. I mean, I understand the journalism aspect of it is important, but with E3 being so big on technology and entertainment, you figured
to go to E3, you have to pay money,
or if you're a member of the industry, one of the two.
Exactly. Right. So it's just a moneymaker.
And this is a bummer for me because I guarantee you Bethesda was going to release more about Elder Scrolls 6.
100%.
Or at least Starfield, and I was very excited about that.
There was probably so many good ones that we were going to
Right, but I mean, of course we're going to see them. They're good because the Xbox Scarlet, I think, is the project name for it.
Yes.
And then the PS5, they are being slated for release, I think November or December around that time. So they are wanting to get that news out really quickly. So, I mean, they're obviously going to do something. And I think that the Nintendo Direct style of doing it is going to be how E3 is going to incorporate it.
100%.
I think you're right. And I think a lot of content creators in the gaming realm are actually speculating that too.
Yeah. And so what's really good too about E3 being E3 is that it's all about games. Right. And so, you know, people stay in their houses to play games. So there's no reason why they would push any games back or any consoles back unless they were bad on production. So I think it'll just be fine.
Yeah, I think so too. And honestly,
But they were really the first ones to come out and be like, we're canceling this. And then after this happened, it was like boom, 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 boom.
I think there was a few sports leagues who announced it first, but we're talking about those here in a bit. But this one's also big. So Disneyland and Disney World have both announced rare closures. So Good Morning America, this is one of the articles that literally changed as Lydia and I were bouncing it back and forth. So Good Morning America reported on March the 12th that Disneyland California will be closing from March 14th until the end of the month at the very latest. Now, this is only the 8th time in history that Disney World will be closed, following the John F. Kennedy assassination, the September 11th tragedy, and the hurricanes that have hit Florida, and now finally COVID-19. So Lydia, what's the source on that?
So that was actually from Walt Disney World News today.
Cool.
And Disney also announced that they will be cutting their CP program for the spring. This includes ICPs and the culinary program.
Okay, so for those of us who aren't familiar with the Disney lingo, what is the CP?
Yes, so a CP is the college program. So if you are one semester into college or a whole year after you graduate, you're eligible to apply for this college program internship through Disney. So they do those at Disneyland and Disney World. These are just Disney World cast members that are being cut, from what I understand. And basically, they're supposed to go all the way till the beginning of May. And because of this, they're being cut. They are being paid until the end of March, which is good. So the next 2 weeks. But then after that, they had to be out of the dorms by the 18th, because Disney has they have their own housing. And this is particularly bad for our international college program people, because I mean, most of them are from out of the country,
right?
International,
like Europe, Asia, where the virus is spreading pretty rapidly.
And since we have those travel bans, flights to the countries are they're unavailable. I mean, I have not personally looked, but I imagine that you cannot travel to those countries right now.
Right.
So it's huge. I could not find an article ever where Disney cut half of their cast member staff.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
And it's like over 5,000 cast members. It's crazy.
And originally, they also implied the professional interns, which is what Logan, your brother, is doing.
Correct.
But they, as of yesterday, reversed that, correct?
Yes, they did. So Saturday, he thought he was fired because they called him and said, hey, we are no longer going to be available. And then by Sunday morning, they called him back, he was actually had to work. So by Sunday morning, he was, they had a meeting and they said, just kidding. You're going to be working starting after the 2 weeks is up if Disney doesn't continue to close down. And I think a lot of speculation is that the reason they're doing this is because Disney might be closed more than the 2 weeks that they said they are being closed.
Gotcha.
So I don't know, but that's just what we have from Disney as of right now.
Cool. And we will keep you updated as updates are available. And as we talked about earlier, sports leagues across the country are reacting to the coronavirus. Now, we do have, of course, the football, aka soccer leagues in Europe are playing empty matches, which has been really bizarre. But so now our American and North American sports leagues are reacting to the virus and the spread of it. So the NHL, the National Hockey League, their commissioner, Gary Bettman, paused the 2019-2020 NHL season on March the 12th. Commissioner Bettman has requested for individual teams to have building availability until the end of July to try and salvage as much of the season as they can. This will also impact the NHL entry draft, which is in June, the free agency frenzy, which begins in July, and most importantly, the awarding of the Stanley Cup, which is the oldest continuously awarded trophy in North American sports. So the NHL season was actually canceled around a decade ago because of the lockout, and that was the first time in the Stanley Cup's history that it wasn't awarded. And in the hockey world, that's huge, because the Stanley Cup's been awarded since either the very late 1800s or the very early 1900s. It's a very revered tradition in sports. And what a lot of hockey writers and hockey bloggers are speculating is that they will try to resume the season in April, and instead of playing the final games of the Stanley Cup final in June, that they're going to do it in July, which would be
just push it back a month,
right? Which would be crazy, because I mean that's
probably never happened.
It hasn't, no. But I mean, at least they are trying to salvage the season, but we will see how it goes there.
Yep.
And then in baseball news,
the Major League Baseball, as of March 12th, is suspending operations until at least the end of spring training, according to ESPN. So we have another one bites the dust on that one.
We do. And then the Major League Soccer, they literally just started their season, has suspended its season for 30 days, as well as canceling friendly matches for the U.S. national teams, the men's and women's team, as reported by ESPN.
The NCAA has canceled the men and women's versions of March Madness.
Which that's huge because that's like 64 teams or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not a big college basketball fan, but I do know that's huge for them to cancel that. And then finally, the NBA suspends their season until further notice per Commissioner Adam Silver. And I think the NBA was the first to. They were the first to cancel. And I would like to point out that ground zero for this was in Oklahoma City. And the crazy thing is if you would have told somebody, at the beginning of the season that the Utah Jazz would have inadvertently ended the NBA season for the time being, people would have thought you were crazy. But here we are. It was a match at it was a match at the Chesapeake Energy Arena in Oklahoma City between the Utah Jazz and our Oklahoma City Thunder up. And basically it is where one of their teammates or team members for the Utah Jazz tested positive for the COVID-19 virus, and that canceled the rest of the game. Everybody was like, like what the hell is happening? Like, did somebody get shot? Like, are the players okay? Like they thought, they didn't think it was related to the virus, but it turns out it was. And I would also like to point out that this is literally the plot to Space Jam.
It is.
Yeah, because at the beginning you had Charles Barkley, all the 90s NBA players from the movie, they all got sick, and then it was the Monstars who were taking their energy, and you had the lead bad guy played by Danny DeVito trying to do that. Then the Looney Tunes came. I mean, if you haven't seen Space Jam, go watch Space Jam. That's one of the...
If you haven't seen Space Jam and Steven has...
I feel like
something's wrong with you.
Well, Space Jam is fantastic. I don't even like basketball that much, but Space Jam is such a good movie.
It is a good movie.
I love it.
But they did have to. The players stayed there in Chesapeake Arena for like almost all night long. I think
they had to be quarantined.
They had to be quarantined because they had already practiced together and all this stuff. And then a second Utah's Jazz player had the coronavirus, and I don't think any of our Thunder players.
I don't think so either, but I think they're just trying to contain it. And then I saw that the XFL is suspending operations.
They're suspending
That's a new thing. And then also locally here in Tulsa, so the one person who did have the coronavirus, they are doing better.
Yep.
The one person that we know of course, because you can't really, without having universal access to healthcare. I'm not trying to get too political. But I'm really not.
Open up the can of worms.
Yeah,
Here we go.
We're not trying to. But what I'm saying is, like, we can't know that for sure because some people who might have the virus don't have access to healthcare. So we can't really have a good gauge of that. But Mayor Bynum, GT Bynum, has reported that the one person confirmed to have the coronavirus has recovered. So as of officially, Tulsa is safe, Tulsa County as a whole. And also Mayor GT Bynum has put a temporary restriction on issuing permits to gatherings of more than 250 people. So he is trying his best to keep Tulsa County contained. And then finally, one more thing locally is that our representative for Oklahoma's 1st congressional district, Kevin Hearn, actually voted no on the...
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So I'm glad I remembered. He voted no on the emergency,
the stimulus
package or the Recovery Act or whatever you want to call it. He was one of 40 Republicans, I think, to vote no, and actually the only Oklahoma member of our delegation to vote no on it. And which is interesting because we have 5 representatives and 3 are Republicans, so our other 2 Republicans voted yes, and so did our Democrat Kendra Horn, and Kevin Hearn voted no. So Kevin Hearn's opponent in the race, Kojo Asamoah Caesar, made this big tweet about it, saying he had this like whole letter saying he was appalled at the decision and stuff like that. So that's probably going to be an issue in local politics coming up in November.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. And then for national politics, what do we have there?
For national politics, as of March 12th, the unnamed Brazilian official who met President Trump and Vice President Pence at Mar-a-Lago on March 7th has now tested positive for the coronavirus, according to the Washington Post. This was a big deal because there were pictures seen with the Brazilian representative, which they named him, but I can't remember his name now.
Yeah.
There was pictures of him and Trump. I mean, closer
golf.
to than what Steven and I are right now.
Right.
They're playing golf. They spent all weekend together. So a lot of people were worried on the press conference on Friday, March, was that 13th?
Yeah.
Was Friday the 13th?
It was. Yeah.
It was Friday the 13th.
It was. Yep.
So a lot of the journalists at Trump's press conference on March 13th were actually asking him, like, you just stood up here and shook everybody's hands, because he stood up there and shook the CEO of Walmart, Target, Walgreens, all of them, all of their hands, and they were like, hello, have you not seen the picture? Like, you could have it.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't have it. And whatever. But his doctor, he did take a test, and as of Saturday, March 14th.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm really bad with dates today. I don't know why. According to NPR, President Trump doctor said that he tested negative for the coronavirus.
Right. And it's also interesting to point out that the Brazilian official was not the president of Brazil, but the Brazilian president, Jair Bolsonaro, has tested positive for the virus.
Too.
And he has also met with Trump recently as well.
Mm-hmm.
But again, as of now, Trump is indeed, he's indeed safe. So we did mention earlier that we had 2 countries who have done really well at this. So do you want to talk about that, Lydia?
Sure. I'm just reading about what you said. In the future, the world should look to Taiwan and Singapore for their preparedness.
Well, they should.
Honestly.
Yeah,
so I found this article and I sent it to Steven, and he was like, holy cow, this is fantastic.
Yeah, great
and I was
article.
like,
that's why I wanted you to talk about it.
It was such a good article. So Slate reported on March 11th that by preparing their airports and infrastructures for the outbreak, the outlook is significantly better. Despite being less than 100 miles away from China, Taiwan only had 1 death and only 48 cases. Singapore has had no deaths and only 178 cases.
Yeah, and this is incredible because Taiwan is literally on a little island, like right off the coast of China.
Right.
And Taiwan is actually claimed by China as part of their nation, and that's a whole inner geopolitical debacle that we don't want to get into right now because that's not topical.
Right.
But it is cool how prepared that they had been compared to other countries like Italy, the United States, Iran, where we just kind of let it happen and then boom, we're here. So shout out to those 2 countries, and we can definitely learn a thing or 2 from them. But so to close this part of the podcast with the coronavirus, we encourage everybody listening not to panic. Again, not to panic. So while fear and nervousness is both justifiable and a natural reaction to this, both the World Health Organization and the Center for Disease Control are urging people not to panic, as this will only make things worse. So of course, the virus is dangerous. We're not going to contest.
We're not trying to downplay it. We just don't need to panic about it.
Right. So, however, for the majority of our listeners, so those under 40, the mortality rate is only 0.2% as reported on March 10th by the Washington Post. So the whole thing with this coronavirus is that the death toll for the majority of the population is not very high, but it's the spreadability.
It's the spreading.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and so the reason why everything is shutting down, everybody's stopping large crowds, is because yes, Stephen, I might get it and I will survive it. But if I get it and give it to, say, a friend who has a bad immune system or my grandpa, then that's where we have an issue. And yeah, our hospitals, they can't take all of these, they can't take hundreds of thousands of people at a time.
It was that curve you were mentioning earlier.
It's the curve. So you have to stop everything to make and stop large groups and meetings and things like that to make the curve go down. So then when we do have 1 or 2 people that are sick, they can, get a test and they can get help appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in contrast, the Center for Disease Control estimated that the 2019-2020 flu season could have claimed up to 52,000 lives. So as of now, the regular flu is much more dangerous. But the weird thing is people with the regular flu, they know to stay home. Whereas people with the coronavirus, I feel like we're panicking. We don't panic about the flu, but we're panicking about this. And that's kind of our whole point, is by panicking and going to the store and buying all this toilet paper, which, by the way, has no effect with the coronavirus.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you're just...
The coronavirus doesn't make you shit yourself.
It's a respiratory thing.
I want to let you know that it does not make you shit yourself.
No, it does not.
It is, the whole thing too about the coronavirus is a lot of people are going to work because thinking they just have a common cold, because that's the very first symptom, is just like a little baby cough and I maybe have a headache, whatever.
Yeah.
But really you could have COVID-19. Another thing too, I forgot, what was I going to say? Don't go to large gatherings. I had a comment, but I can't remember what it was.
Worries. But the comment I was going to add is that the main symptoms is, like the common cold thing at first, but a lot of people are reporting that it's a dry cough and your nose isn't running and stuff like that. So if you have seasonal allergies, you have seasonal allergies. That's just, it is what it is.
They say gargle with hot salt water every night.
That actually got disproven.
Oh, did
by the
it?
way. It did. Yeah, like literally
in
just
the last
today. Just today.
5 minutes that I read it.
Yep, just today. Yeah.
Okay, so don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. But
I mean, you can if you want.
I mean,
it doesn't hurt you, but
no, it doesn't. But it won't.
but it will not prevent it.
Right. So basically, we just want everybody to stay informed. Don't go to a large gathering, and for the love of God, stay hygienic. Like
Stay hygienic.
Like I feel like
Wash your hands.
That should be just a common thing.
Stay home.
Yeah, I mean that's ideal. Like not doing anything. Like
Literally, I don't know why everybody's freaking out. I'm like freaking so happy that it's spring break. All I have to do is stay home and go to the aquarium. Those are literally the two things that I have to do this week.
Right.
Is literally do nothing and go to the aquarium.
Because working at schools we have that off, which is great.
It's fantastic. So, whatever.
Yeah, but don't go buy all the toilet paper. That makes absolutely no sense.
Well, it's too late now.
Well, it is too late, but I mean...
Did you see Walmart is only open from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. So they can keep up the stocking of the shelves because people, like... Steven, I went yesterday and it was crazy.
Well, we went to Winco yesterday, that new grocery store, just to kind of poke around. We needed a few things. We were out in that area. Everybody's just panicking, outright panicking. And
there was no cereal. There was, bag cereal, box cereal, Pop-Tarts, granola bars, everything's gone. The soup aisle, no soups.
Yeah.
There's like literally nothing at the grocery store.
Except the healthy stuff. All the healthy stuff is still there.
Yeah.
So like your fruits and vegetables.
The fruits and vegetables, if you are gluten-free.
That stuff's there.
All of that's there. Vegan, all the vegan stuff is there. So I'm like, man, maybe I'm going to change my diet for a couple weeks so I can have some food because I literally felt bad grabbing the last bag of pasta yesterday.
Yeah, and this is what we were saying about why it's so important just to not panic, because by panicking and everybody is going to the same place, you are adding to the problem.
Yeah, you're adding to the panic.
Right. Well, not the panic, but also because if you get in contact with somebody with with COVID-19, boom, you might have it, and then you can spread it to everybody else.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah, just basically carry on like normal.
Just be normal.
Informed. Just be informed. Not that hard.
We like PBS NewsHour here on the Stevia Show because I
love PBS NewsHour.
It is known for its middle ground and informative information. So please, if you want to use that, they have had the best news.
It's been great because PBS NewsHour is a nonprofit. So whenever you hear them say, this has been brought to you in part by viewers like you. Thank you. Because it's partly funded by the national government, but it's also funded by the viewers. So they don't have a corporate agenda to... Yeah,
they don't care. They don't need the money.
Right. So that's why the PBS presidential debate has been my by far most favorite, because it was a boring, factual debate. And with the COVID-19, it's boring, factual coverage.
That's it.
So if you're getting the knowledge and things like that, that's all you need. Knowledge is power.
Also, I have this fantastic COVID-19 map from this GIS.data.
You talked about that last week.
So if anybody wants it, I can send it your way. Just Facebook message us and I'll send it because I check it every day. It's interesting.
It's interesting.
I've taught myself to say interesting for the map.
Good job.
Before I was like, it's really cool, guy.
Good job.
And Steven's like, well, it's not that cool. I'm like, okay, you're right. It's interesting.
Right. It's interesting.
So if you want the map, I'll send it to you.
Absolutely. Okay.
So speaking of elections, we do have some election updates. Steven, why don't you go ahead?
We do. So we do have a bit of election updates to go, just like what Lydia literally just said.
Literally. Echo.
So Representative James Clyburn, Democrat of South Carolina, he was one of the big Biden endorsers who helped him win South Carolina, has called on Democratic National Committee DNC Chair Tom Perez to, quote, step in, make an assessment, and determine whether or not they ought to have any more debates, end quote, according to PBS NewsHour. In an interview with PBS, Chairman Perez responded to Representative Clyburn by saying, quote, well, I think it is always up to the candidates to figure out when it is time to say when, and I respect the judgment of Senator Sanders moving forward. I don't think it's my place as the Democratic National Committee chair to tell somebody when it's time to end your campaign. That's always up to the candidates. I didn't call Pete Buttigieg or I didn't call Amy Klobuchar or any of the candidates that got out. That was a judgment that they made on their own, end quote. So my take on this is that this is very silly of Representative Clyburn. This would undermine the votes of literally millions of Americans. And then, of course, if this was reversed, somebody calling on Biden to drop out, I'd be saying the same thing because it's stupid. It's a stupid comment to make. And especially if House Democrats are going to call out the Republican Party for simply allowing Trump to do whatever he wants, which many of them do.
Yep.
Asking the same for a frontrunner candidate who isn't even president yet, that's extremely hypocritical.
100%.
And yeah. So, and then speaking of Joe Biden, we have a lot of key endorsements that happened with him. So who did he get?
Former candidate Andrew Yang with the Yang announced on March 10th that he is endorsing Joe Biden's campaign for president. This adds to Biden's recent endorsements from Senators Kamala Harris and Cory Booker.
Excellent. Yes. And then also Tuesday will mark the threshold where over 50% of delegates will be allotted. So states
That's
up for,
huge.
Yeah. So states up for grabs include all of them are huge, really. As Arizona, Florida, Illinois, and Ohio. Lots of delegates up for grabs, however you want to word that. And then additionally, the U.S. territory, the Northern Mariana Islands, held their caucuses on March the 14th. I don't have the results of those yet, so we don't have those at this time. And currently 538, who has actually done a really good job at predicting this election, because they update the polls literally every single day, projects Biden sweeping all 5 contests, which would allow a very narrow path for Senator Sanders to win going forward.
Correct.
Yeah.
Bernie appears to be offering Biden a path to win over his movement. NPR analyzed on March 12th that Sanders is telling Biden how to win over his movement because Sanders, wants Biden to succeed. Sanders has not only acknowledged that his movement isn't showing up in as big of numbers as he'd like, he also said last week, quote, "Today, I just say to the Democratic establishment, in order to win in the future, you need to win the voters who represent the future of our country, and you must speak to the issues of concern to them," end quote.
Yeah, so my take on this is I think it is totally fine for Sanders to want to debate Biden one-on-one and give it one final round. This is common for candidates who still have a narrow path to victory, even though it's looking increasingly unlikely. I think Sanders should go the same route that Buttigieg, Klobuchar, Warren, etc. went by giving it one more chance and then suspending afterwards if there isn't a significant gain. Of course, as much as I don't like to say this, Sanders' campaign appears to be reaching the end. I think a bit of this has to do with younger people, which would be Gen X and younger, not turning out to vote. And it's interesting because while Sanders consistently wins this demographic and pre-election polls by huge margins, huge margins, voter turnout for this population has actually largely gone down in 2016. So research think tank the Brookings Institute reported on March 10th that in all but one state research, that being Iowa, young voter turnout has actually gone down, which is very interesting. And I do think that a lot of people who are kind of freaking out about the quote unquote Bernie bros that are going to ruin the election, which I don't think they will. They didn't in 2016 because if you remember, Sanders actually campaigned for Clinton more than Clinton campaigned for Obama. So I mean, you can't take one small portion of a support group and say, oh, they're going to, because that's going to happen at any time. Like that'd be like saying that the libertarian wing of the Republican Party is going to cause them the elections. They're not. Like that's just not how it works.
No.
But I think that Bernie is sticking true to himself because he and everybody has said, as the Democrats have said, that their number one priority is to defeat Donald Trump. And I feel like by Bernie saying, okay, Joe Biden, here is how you can win over my supporters, I think that is not only very mature for Bernie Sanders 100%. To do, but I also think that is congruent with basically the whole entire message of the Democratic Party saying this is truly our number one priority, not getting any one of us elected. And of course it hurts to drop out of a race, but if he is offering an exit plan basically for himself and for his supporters to go over to Joe Biden, I think that's very I don't want to say brave because it's not brave. I think it's very respectful. It's very respectable of him, because of course in politics it's nasty.
It's a dog-eat-dog world.
It's a dog-eat-dog world. And if you're going to offer that path, and especially where Joe Biden is really struggling with the young voters, like he's doing great with African American voters and voters over the age of 60, which of course that is impressive. Yeah. But I mean, Bernie Sanders, he is killing it with Latinos, with people who are younger, with college age individuals and working class members, things like that. So if he is saying to Joe Biden, if you could just adopt like one policy or whatever that these people really like that's it.
Yeah, that's all you need to do.
That's all you need to do. And I think that would be a wise thing to do. And I think that if Sanders basically like maybe privately talks to Joe Biden saying, hey, like I will like dead ass step aside if you just commit to one thing that I'm campaigning on, I think that'd be a good compromise. But we'll see. For sure. Yeah, we'll see. So I think that's kind of all we have today. Basically, a lot of the coronavirus and a lot of political news. Nothing really aside from that going on because that's literally been everything going on.
I mean, it's literally been everything going on. Yeah. And the mass hysteria of what is the America right now.
What is the America?
The America.
the America. So episode 71 will largely be probably a lot of the same thing, if I'm being honest, unless something groundbreaking happens.
Yeah,
but
more cancellations probably is what we have.
More cancellations, yeah. So you can find us basically all over on social media platforms with the handle at The Stevia Show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcast app that you listen to. If you're on YouTube, search for The Stevia Show and then subscribe with the notification button.
We would like to thank our anchor producers for their continued support. You can support us for as little as 99 cents a month and receive exclusive Discord roles and bonus episodes every month.
Yes, and the bonus episodes are a lot of fun.
Yes, they are.
They're cool. And then we also have merchandise available through our bio link. So when you visit us online, check out our link tree, which is the link in our bio, and click on merch, and we ship nationwide as well.
Holla.
So if you live in the Northern Mariana Islands, good news. We'll ship to you.
We'll ship to you.
We'll ship to you. And I think that's about all we have today. So for now, this is Steven.
And this is Lydia.
We will see you all later.
Bye.